In my other videos, I talked extensively about how a major manic episode I suffered from costed me my job, costed me my education, and costed me virtually all of my friendships. In this video, though, I'm going to focus on the craziest things I posted on social media while I was in a manic state. Because let me tell you, there were a plethora of foolhardy things that I did. The behavior that I displayed was irrational, and the decisions I made, the conclusions I came to, were not in any way grounded in reality. And that is because of the mania that I was confronted with. I remember this kind of gradually got worse and worse. I did not immediately jump to social media and start making a host of abhorrent claims and accusations towards other people. It's something that progressively got worse, though, something that started once the manic symptoms intensified. Because my manic episode was over 5 months long. And during those 5 months, it got worse without question. There is no if, and, or buts about it. So I want to get started with talking about one of the first crazy things I did with social media. And that is, I was challenging people to fights. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the actual posts or stories that I was disseminating across my Instagram and Snapchat because those social media accounts of mine were actually banned as a result of the behavior that I'm going to tell you about. And just right off the bat right there, what I told you, I was challenging people to fights, that's a violation of the terms and conditions of, I'm pretty sure, every social media site, but certainly the ones that I was using. And it manifested in the form of having a lack of trust in other people and being in fear for my life. So towards the end of my manic episode, this is around January, February-ish of 2022, I was lashing out and calling out members of the Greek life community who I believed were involved in covering up sexual assaults on campus, whom I believed that were collaborating with Nazis to put out a racist letter that had gone around to black campus orgs on campus. And my basis for doing so was, of course, based on fiction. But in my mind, these things were very real. So I remember calling out the rush chair of another fraternity, Alpha Sig, and it's someone who's related to like a NASCAR driver too. I can't think of who, but and I remember saying to him that, I would play connect the dot elbows on his face if he tried denying the role that he played in covering up sexual assault. And of course, I had no evidence of any of this. This is all just based on figments of my imagination. And, of course, he responded and said things back. And I remember on Snapchat tagging him, and I thought I had the power. This just speaks to the power of my delusions. I thought that I had the power to summon gangs. And so I would tag accounts with the word Crips in the name or with the word Bloods in the name. And then, say, you don't want to mess with me, pal. If that doesn't tell you how completely out of whack that I was, I don't know what will. But I was totally out of it. Another wild, crazy thing that I did, it was actually utter blasphemy. I rented a Hummer limo, and it was over $1,000, so talk about draining the bank account quickly. And I stopped at a church reactory and grabbed the biggest holy Bible that I could find. And I went back out to the Hummer limo, and I held up the Bible like this, and then with the phone in my hand, posted to social media that I have returned. I thought that I was literally the Messiah. How ridiculous and absurd is that? I thought that I was the second coming of Jesus. I thought that I was a messenger from God. And I don't know how true it is. Some people have said that I look like a hobo Jesus in my current condition. Not too sure how I feel about that. Not my favorite compliment to come across, compliment. But that is another absurd thing that I did. Now, I didn't just challenge people to fights. I actually got into a fight. And this is what directly resulted in me losing my education. I got expelled by my university. And it got me arrested. As a result of symptoms I was experiencing during mania, I thought that the person that I was with was a Nazi agent and got in a fight with him. And I spent 5 days in jail. Upon leaving jail, what did I do? The first thing I did was go to social media and post about how the same Illuminati organizations that assassinated JFK were now trying and attempting to assassinate me. At this point, I believed that I was John F. Kennedy Jr., that I had a relation to the Kennedy family. Of course, none of that is true. That is also fiction. Unfortunately, I was saddened to learn and eventually come to grasp with the fact that I am not related to the Kennedys. Wouldn't that be an awesome fact about me if that were true? Of course, it's not. So, yeah, I ended up posting information about my court case online and saying, they tried to assassinate me and the Illuminati and the court system is working against me. And it's crazy to me how elements of my life that were real and completely serious, they didn't serve as a wake-up call to me in my state of mania. They, in fact, exacerbated my symptoms of mania and put me in a worsened state. And thankfully, one of the conditions of my release from jail was that I get mental health treatment, and I did, and I got put on medications and was eventually out of mania. Because otherwise, who knows how long I would have been in that state of mind. I could have completely jeopardized my life and thrown it away. I certainly made a lot of irrational decisions during my manic episode. And I talked about in another video how during my manic episode, and this is actually a little bit funny, I got appointed to my town's economic development committee. I appeared before the board of town selectmen and everything in my manic frenzied state, high amounts of energy, haven't slept in days. And I presented myself as a wise, finance savvy college student and, advanced the argument that I would be a good fit for the committee. And what did they do? They voted 4-1 to appoint Tyler Adolfo to the economic development committee. And during my short-lived time as a member of that committee, I would make posts on Facebook lashing out at actual public officials in my town, saying the most absurd things about their intentions and what their true goals are. And yeah, I'm glad that nobody really paid proper attention to those posts. And I eventually, thankfully, deleted my Facebook actually. So those posts no longer exist, are no longer visible. They say that once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. Well, I haven't encountered them again yet, these posts again yet, so I'm glad that's not the case. Another thing I did, and I'm really ashamed of, is my godmother, who had loaned me some money. I used social media to call a plethora of harmful, derogatory adjectives. And it was so vile, so cruel, so evil. I don't even want to go into the exact language and words that I used or the exact things that I said. But I posted them all over social media, and thankfully she didn't see all of them. She saw some of them, and of course vehemently disagreed with them. But, I regret making those posts as well. And this goes in line with the type of language I was using towards others. It wasn't just unique to members of my family. I was calling members of my own fraternity, Kappa Sigma at UMass Amherst, Gamma Delta chapter, I was calling them Nazis and accusing them of being Nazis. And this was a legitimate belief that I had, that I posted all over the internet for people to see. And I can't imagine what was actually going through their minds. Like, wow, this guy must be an asshole, or wow, this guy is totally out of whack. My hope is that they realized that I was in dire mental straits. And, there's information out there that leads me to believe that that is what they believe and understood. So I'm grateful that they hopefully realized that. and that it's not reflective of who I truly am. But I actually ended up getting expelled from my fraternity because not only was I attacking brothers online, calling them Nazis, and releasing text messages that were private correspondence between the two of us, I actually lashed out at the president of Nationals, and I accused him of being a Nazi. And Nationals was not too happy about it. And within a month, I got suspended. And within another month, I got expelled by the Kappa Sigma fraternity. Something that I'm still greatly ashamed of, because I was deeply honored, profoundly honored to be a part of that organization. It gave me a sense of purpose, provided me with a strong sense of belonging. I would say that I had great friends in that organization, and it's all just gone just like that because of behavior that I exhibited while I was in a manic state through social media. When it comes to the fraternity, there was actually a point too where I took it to the next step with two brothers in particular, and I accused them of trying to kill me on my social media. I thought that they had a gun on them, and I remember being laid out and that we parked in a very discreet spot. The reality is that there's just not good parking on campus, so you have to park where you can park. So we parked in like this discreet spot, and I remember posting on social media later on saying that this was part of a plot, a conspiracy to kill me, and, just total nonsense. And the nonsense only escalated. It ultimately culminated with me thinking that not only was I a messenger of God, but I was a prophet speaking of things to come. I would post photos on Instagram of Noah's Ark flooding my hometown, saying that there's going to be an attack on my hometown, that the terrorist Nazis are out to get me, and that wherever I am, there's going to be an attack, and how we're running out of time, and that the people who aren't believing me are fools. Yeah, they're the fools, not me, who's believing in all these delusions and who's having all these hallucinations. So those are the craziest things I posted on social media while manic. I'm sorry that I was unable to show you actual posts and stories, but I hope that my words provided you the imagery of what that kind of looked like. I was unable to show actual posts or stories because, quite simply, my accounts all got banned, as you can imagine, because the behavior that I displayed was completely antithetical to the terms and conditions of those social media sites. So what have I learned from this? What I learned from this is to not downplay the power of the human mind, ever. All this happened in just one semester. In just a 5-month span, I gradually lost control of who I was and went insane. And for those of you who are new here, I have a bunch of videos on my channel that talk about exactly that. So if you're interested, be sure to check out my playlist, Bipolar Breakdown, where I talk extensively about mental health issues relating to bipolar disorder. I would greatly appreciate it. Those of you who are returning viewers, thank you for stopping by again. I appreciate all of the support on the channel. We're closing in on 700 subscribers. I'm really happy about that. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And be sure to smash that like button so that people who haven't seen the video will have a greater chance of seeing it. With that being said, you all have a wonderful day. Have a blessed, lovely day. Love ya.